Hello and welcome to another episode in my Warhammer 40,000 Conquest series. In this episode, we're going to be exploring recess shading with our Death Guard models and Aphonian Camera Shade. We're also going to be filling in some details with Steel Legion Drab and colouring in other details as well, just to really make those Death Guard stand out. So stay tuned. So welcome back, and before we get started, let me just please say, if you have the time, hop over to my Patreon account. Link is in the description below if you wish to support the channel. I also have our PayPal account set up as well if you want to make a one-off donation, and every penny will go back into the channel to help it grow and help me invest in a bit more. Also, if you've got a moment and you haven't already subscribed, click the subscribe button and the bell icon next to it so you get a notification every time I make a video. Also, and this is the last bit, I promise, Big Mac Dan Skull, my main man, he does a weekly review of the brand new issues. He just done one not that long ago, and it's well worth checking out. I think it's every Thursday morning he uploads it. He cracks it open, reviews the whole thing, and it really expands upon the lore that's inside it as well. Now, let's get to it, shall we? So to start with, we'll get our base paint, Steel Legion Drab, and with this we'll be painting the fur on the cape of Lord Felfius. Make sure that you are careful not to go over the fleshy bits that you painted, and do those shoulder bits as well. Also, the haft on the chain axe is made of wood, so we'll be painting that. The stock on the Plague Marine Champion, his pistol holstered, that's wood, and the of course the sorcerer's staff is made of wood too, and the blight bomb racks as well. So paint all that up, and then when you get to your little poxwalkers, there are a few little handles here and there which are made of wood too, so make sure you paint that up. Then we'll move on to rack off flesh. So once the Steel Legion Drab is dry on the cape, we start painting those little maggots. Don't worry if you miss any, because they blend in nicely anyway, but just take your time, and yeah, don't worry about it being too neat. Then we move on to Retributor Gold, so we'll be touching up some little details, including the eyes on the Death's Head there, and then Abaddon Black for the little bits of string that are holding on the icons to that staff as well. Then we move on to our shade. So Agrax Earth Shade, we'll be using plenty of this all over the cape, and yeah, you can go as heavy as you like. The more you put on, the dirtier it will look, but just remember not to put too much so it doesn't pull at the bottom of the cape, and yeah, it should look nice and dirty and gruesome. Also, you want to use it on all of the places that you painted with Steel Legion Drab. So that's the staff, that's the chain axe handle, the pistol stock as well, the blight bomb racks as well. So just have a look at what you've painted with that Steel Legion Drab. We'll also go back to the Plague Marines, because we had missed painting the red robes with Agrax Earthshade, so they said to revisit those in this issue. Also went to the special characters where we missed that too, and then painted up those Death's Heads as well, and then went back to the Poxwalkers, because of course we painted some more on that as well. Then with non-oil, we'll go over all of the blue slacks that we painted on them, and then once that's dry, you need to make sure it dries so it doesn't mix with the Aphonian Camo Shade. We'll use Aphonian Camo Shade to shade in the fleshy bits that we painted in green. Now remember, in another video, I'll put a link above, I did do a mix of fleshy colour and green colour just to give a mottled effect. So what I've done is I've then sort of overlapped the shade, so it goes somewhat over the flesh coloured areas, and it really helps to blend in those two tones. Now we'll move on to a more technical aspect of shading called recess shading. So what you need to do is get a small brush, load it up, but not too much with the chosen shade, and then you just go along the little edges and the crevices and try and be as neat as possible doing it. Fortunately, with the Death Guard, you don't have to be neat because they are messy and they don't really care about their appearance too much, so feel free to make a mess. With the vehicles, you want to go a bit thicker on those recesses just to really make them stand out a bit more, as you can see there. And later on, what I did was like around the rivets, you need to just dot them. Like around the exhausts or some of the details, I put a little extra underneath just to make it look more grimy. So here you go, here are the first batch of Poxwalkers, and as you can see, they are really coming along now, and there's the second batch too. So they're really starting to look like something. We still got a couple of layers and details to finish off, but again, that'll be in future issues. But as they stand, they're really good, and they will look great on the table as well. Our first batch of Plague Marines as well, as you can see, they are starting to come along really well. As you can see, some of those crevices and dips and dents in the armor really sort of pop out when you put a decent amount of the Euphonian camo shade in there. So it's well worth experimenting with, definitely. There's the champion as well. As you can see, he's looking a lot better already. And on this character as well, it looks a lot more closer to being finished now, especially the Death's Head racks that he's got at the back. Really sort of starting to look more characterful. Just finishing those little details on this miniature as well really sort of helps to get it that bit further along to completion, and it's just these little additions that we do now and then that really sort of help to progress our skill set and also the appearance of the models. So there's the Blightcaster as well. You see staff is now ready to go. And the Blight Lord, as you see, look, again, plenty of detail on his armor to be shaded in, and it really does help make him look a lot more ominous on the battlefield. Lord Felthius is looking a lot more completed. The green goop that's coming down from the sensor in his hand, I also shaded all of that in with Euphonian camo shade, so all of the bits coming off his scythe as well, I did that just to really sort of give it a bit more depth. And I did the same with the heavy weapon here as well, that's got the goop hanging down, and the chain axe as well, just to really make it sort of stand out a bit more. As you see with the Blight Hauler, I sort of added a little bit more of the Euphonian camo shade coming down from those swords, just to make it look like it's weeping some of that grime. And I did a similar thing with the Rhino as well, so it looks like the grime's leaking out from the viewports and it's just washing off the icons as well. So it really makes it look a lot more grimier without going over the top. And there's the view from above as well. Mind the shaky hands, and as you see, the chap with the gun, he's looking a lot better already. And then of course we can't forget the little Nurglings as well, so they are coming along nicely. And I still haven't made up my mind what I want to do with these, whether I want to base them separately or put them on their respected characters' bases, but I do like painting them anyway. So as you can see, it does take a bit of time to do because you've got to be a bit more careful with how you do it. Doesn't matter too much with the Death Guard if you get a bit wobbly and you make a bit of a mess, because at the end of the day, they're Death Guard, so then they don't care about cleanliness or neatness. But just that little recess shading and filling out a few details really does help make those miniatures pop. Okay, so for this episode's community focus, I asked you, the community, what your favourite piece had been so far in the Conquest series, and you did not disappoint. So let's go have a look. So thank you so much to all those participants in our community focus this week. As you can see, there's so much inspiration there, and as always, if you check out the links in the description below, there'll be plenty of links to Facebook groups where you can go and have a look at what people are doing. There's plenty of people who are working on the Conquest stuff and other things, and they're a very welcoming and friendly community, so well worth checking them out. So once again, thank you so much for watching my video, and I'll see you in the next one.